Well, welcome everybody. My name is Jenny Donnelly and this is my husband Bob. And you are actually in our home right now with us, so to speak. And we just want to welcome you to this Ruby Bootcamp. The following 12 classes that you're going to be watching through the DVD curriculum, we believe, are really going to be life-changing for you. And so let us explain kind of what the idea is behind this Ruby Bootcamp and what we did. We actually just finished an entire Ruby Bootcamp with a live audience, and you're going to be watching that with the live audience. But what we want you to know is that this Ruby Bootcamp is really to involve you in the process of building a Ruby organization. And we intended our Ruby Bootcamp for those people that are really serious, I'm talking really serious, about building an AdvoCare Ruby organization. Now, on average, in the past years, Ruby has paid out about $80,000 of income per year. And so that's a significant amount of money that can obviously change your life. And so we're teaching the mechanics of how to go from zero to Ruby in the next 12 classes. And so before we kind of go into the boot camp, and we want to help you wrap your mind around what you're going to be stepping into, we're going to actually share our story with you so you know our journey with AdvoCare up to this point.
And I got to share something really quickly because it's been a great 6 weeks, and you can do this Ruby Bootcamp in any time frame, but for us it's been an incredible 6 weeks for our organization and people that have seen these classes. And one thing that I want to clarify is the fact that I wish I would have had this when we first heard about AdvoCare back in '99, and the reason why is because sometimes when you start something like this and you've never been accustomed, like my background is not sales, I've never been necessarily comfortable talking to people and stuff like that. And I really wanted to know, how to do this business. And when there's so many trainings, we got so many great trainings available right now that are online and available through the company of AdvoCare. But it's very difficult to narrow the focus on really what we need to do when we first get started in this business. And so this 6-week curriculum, or this 12 classes in a row, they basically teach a step-by-step approach how to do AdvoCare as a business. Now, it's going to be kind of like this. It's not necessarily polished, but that's not the design of it. The design of it is to teach people exactly what we need to do here in AdvoCare. But back in November of '99, when I first heard about AdvoCare, we were interested in what AdvoCare had to offer, but when I heard about the business, I was extremely skeptical, but I got on the products. That very first day on products, they absolutely impacted my life. I went from 2 pots of coffee before AdvoCare to 0 coffee. I felt great. The first 2 months on products, I lost 25 pounds, but we started doing this business not by losing weight. I started doing this business by just feeling good, and we naturally shared it with the people we loved and cared about. And a lot of those things we're going to be talking about in the Ruby Bootcamp of how to share AdvoCare properly. In the first 3 months, Jenny and I built a Ruby organization. We were making about $3,500 a month. We eliminated all of our consumer debt, our credit card debt, our college loans, our car notes, all the things that you accumulate over a period of time, and we eliminated all that stuff. We could make some choices personally. That first year, back in 2000, that was our first full year. Probably on a part-time basis, we made close to $80,000. So the story matched up with this Ruby Bootcamp and how much income, we earned that first year. The great thing about it is we continued to do that same thing, and our income actually doubled that second year. It took close to $160,000 of 1099 income, and that's just impacting people's lives. And it's been an absolute tremendous ride. In that third year, we went up to $260,000, and that's approximate. The actual number is about $257,000 of income. And so, we know we can't earn that income with just not us talking to people and helping people out, but also helping other people succeed in this business. And that's what we've tried to do over the last 11 and a half years. Now it's been phenomenal. We've helped a lot of people get to that Ruby level, and that's why we decided to develop this class is really teaching the principles that we've taught over the last 11 and a half years. And now at the level that we're at currently, our low month is about $84,000, and we had a high month of about $99,000 in 1 month alone. And it's been incredible. And that's what really the principles that we've learned over the last 11 and a half years. Can we teach you everything over 12 classes that we've learned in the last 11 and a half years? No, we can't teach you everything. We can't share all the stories, but this will give you a great starting point, because I think the hardest thing that people have, really a difficult time not only knowing really what to share when they start AdvoCare as a journey, but then also employing themselves. And that's really the power behind a boot camp. It's just that. This is called Ruby Bootcamp, designed to give you basically a crash course on the principles of how to do this business. So why don't you cover a little bit about the boot camp and what we've done and some of the things that we've taught.
Okay. So really what we want you to know is that if you never even went through this curriculum and you and your leader just built AdvoCare as normal, you can do incredible things here. You know, so it's not just this Ruby Bootcamp that is going to help somebody get to Ruby. In fact, one thing I want to state right now is that the way that we teach the 12 classes, Bob and I share the teaching, is, you know, we explain AdvoCare in our language. So you might have a leader somewhere else in the country and you're thinking, well, wait a minute, they don't explain it that way. Well, here's what I want you to know. There's more than one way to skin a cat. But we're all on the same page as far as the fundamentals. How we explain the fundamentals might vary a little bit, but there really comes down to the same teaching point, okay? So we're all on the same page, but how we teach can look different according to personality style. So we don't want to, you know, say our way is the only way, but we're sticking to the fundamentals, the things in this business that when you do them over time consistently can lead to an amazing paycheck, you know, particularly $80,000 a year. So the other thing that you should know is that when you build a Ruby organization, you build 3 solid teams, and then what happens is at that point, if you decide that you want to do it again and build Ruby all over again, then now you have 6 solid teams, and then again would be 9, and then again would be 12. Well, that's actually our diamond level in AdvoCare. And Bob and I, we have committed ourselves to be, quote unquote, a diamond factory. We want to produce diamonds, and the average diamond last year made over $650,000 in 1 year, and that's incredible. So we believe that Ruby is a way to understand how you can get to diamond. Because if you can build Ruby, you can just repetitively do it over and over again. And so it's really such a key teaching point in this business if you want to build long-term wealth. And so what I want to kind of propose to you right now is I want you to kind of draw a line in the sand between regular AdvoCare, where you just get to do what you want when you want, and then there's the day where you sign up for a boot camp. And this is kind of like going to get a personal trainer, and you walk in and you go, okay, I am signing up for 6 weeks with a personal trainer, and I'm going to come in here and you're going to tell me what to do, and I'm going to do it whether I'm crying, laughing, whatever, and I'm coming whether I want to be here or not. And that's really why people hire personal trainers, is because they want somebody to push them. That's what Ruby Bootcamp is about. Bob and I, when you see us in the classes on the DVD, you might be like, whoa, who are those people? We are under the assumption that you want to be pushed, that you want somebody to come behind you and say, let's get after it. If you don't want that type of pushing, then you know what, you might just use these DVDs just as teaching curriculums and whatever. But the real design of it is for somebody to come in and be, according to what my analogy is, that we're personal trainers for you. And here's the thing about hiring a personal trainer. When you hire a personal trainer, they can't do the push-ups for you. You know, they can't do the exercises for you to get results. You're the one that has to stretch and grow and get sore and recover. And so that's what this is all about. And so really, when we invited some of our distributors to be part of the first initial boot camp, we told them, prepare to be under a whole different type of coaching mindset. And so if you'll come in that sort of environment with us and receive that type of coaching, do you understand what's available to you? And so you have to partner with us. You have to partner with us and say, we're going to do this and we're going to get after it, okay? So this is kind of one of the things I wanted to explain is that, you know, Bob, people go to school all the time and get degrees. And they go to night classes, they get, you know, babysitters, they rearrange their schedules, they study till midnight to take a test the next day, all to get a degree that they might find a job that pays between $30,000 and $45,000 a year. And so I was thinking about this going, what if somebody flipped the switch in their head and said, Ruby Bootcamp is my degree to build a Ruby organization? Now here's the thing. We're not saying that from 0 to 6 weeks, in a 6-week time frame, you're going to be Ruby by the end of 6 weeks. That's not the point. The point is to get through the schooling and the understanding and the application of it, so at the 6-week point, you understand. Things are clicking for you, you understand, and you're able from there to build a Ruby organization. But take on that mindset. Do what you have to do. to get that this teaching down inside of you.
And a lot of these people too, when they were going through the class, they wish they would have had this curriculum when they first got started in advocacy. I don't know how many comments I got, and there were some people that were brand new, that were basically starting their business or their advocare journey immediately, and there's people that were 2 years into advocare, and the people that were 2 years into advocare, they wish they would have had this curriculum, because what's beautiful about this curriculum, just like college, you start off with the 100 level classes, and you go to 200 level classes, and you go to 300 level classes, and everything just gets more and more intense. And that's what really this boot camp did. It started off in just a basic level, and every class built on itself. And so you can't get to class 10 or certainly 11 without doing class 1 first.
Yeah.
And you need to start with class 1 and kind of build on itself.
Yeah.
So,
and thanks for saying that, because when we first put this curriculum together, our whole goal was, you take a student, let's say a kindergartner or a first grader, and they start learning math. I know our son was doing math in kindergarten. They did not start with multiplication. They started with addition. And they had him count pennies. How many pennies is 2 plus 2? And that is really like Ruby Bootcamp. Class 1 is addition. Class 2 drives it home a little bit deeper. And then all the way up to the point, by class 12, you have more advanced math. So I wouldn't, if I were you, be jumping around different classes, because we actually build on top of the other. And sometimes one class won't make sense independently by itself, because we use terms and we define terms and vocabulary words here that we use later. And so if you're jumping around, just kind of hit and miss all over the place, you're going to not really feel the power of this. So go through sequentially from 1 through 12. So let me talk to you about this whole curriculum and what the layout is, what the structure is. We decided to do our boot camp in a 6-week time frame. Now there's 12 classes. So what we did is we covered, with a group of people, we covered 2 classes once a week. So we actually designated Monday nights for 6 weeks. We had 6 Mondays in a row where everybody got together and they learned 2 classes at a time. So by the 6th class, we were at 11 and 12, right? You also wanted to find a night that is a mixer night. And that is really important. And so for 6 weeks, we had one night that was a mixer night just for the boot campers. And we packed it out. It was incredible to see the amount of prospects that came through that. The third thing that we did is we actually had a Ustream mixer. And that's something that anybody watching this can do. If you go to ustream.tv, you can set up a mixer where you can show the products, and we did that once a week as well. So we had a mixer once a week, we had a Ustream mixer, and then of course we were meeting for the classes. Okay, so the thing that I want you to understand in this structure is there's 3 parts to this curriculum, okay? Number 1, there's the DVDs. And the DVDs are Bob and I teaching you, the different success parts of getting to Ruby, okay? But that's not all. We're not just going to talk at you and send you off and hope that you understood, because the power behind this Ruby Bootcamp is in the second component. The second component is the workshop. That's the power of Ruby Bootcamp. I really hope that the workshop is what you focus on more than anything. Now the workshop is people coming together who are part of this bootcamp, who've committed to starting and finishing the bootcamp, and you come together and you open your workbook and you start hammering out what you learned from the DVD. And as a group, you start talking, you fill in blanks, you work together, you ask each other questions, and okay, what did they say about this? And the worksheets, they're intense. That workshop is so important. If somebody skips the workshop, they've probably lost 80% of the power of this entire curriculum. And then in addition to the workshop, you also have a homework assignment every week. Yes, it's just like school, because we're getting you a degree in becoming a Ruby leader. And so you have homework assignments. And you know what? Some people were crying. They hated the homework assignments, and some people love them. It kind of depends on personality styles. But those are so important. So the DVD, then the workbook and homework, and then the third step, and this is key, we want you to have your mind set on 30 points. Now let me tell you what the point system is. We actually got a board, we put everybody's names on it, and we put week 1 all the way through week 6. And what we did is every time we came together for the workshop, everybody recorded how many points they got for the week. Now points represent people that they introduced to the success system for that prior week. Okay, so let's put it this way. You go through a week, and then at the end of the week, you're meeting for the workshop. So in that week, how many people did you introduce to Advocare through a mixer, through a three-way phone call, or through a two-on-one appointment, or through a Ustream video or a Ustream mixer? And if you had somebody, a brand new person, come and see Advocare through one of those ways, then you got a point. Because at the end of the day, you can't just learn. You have to go apply. And so if you're thinking, wait a minute, what in the world is a three-way call, a two-on-one? We're going to teach that later, but do ask your leader what that is, because that's something really important to understand. So the 30 points were really important. And what we did is we threw down a reward and said, hey, every person over 30, we just did a dinner for everybody that got over 30 points. But people started gunning for it. And every week, and it was a board that everybody could see each other's points. And so we just said, hey, in 6 weeks, have 30 points, because when you get 30 people through the success system, okay, it has to be in the success system, not just talking to people, but 30 people that you expose to Advocare through mixers, two-on-ones, and three-way calls, 30 people on the end of that. After 6 weeks, we are now experiencing an explosion right now. And all these people are just, I mean, it's amazing to see what's happening after the 6 weeks are done.
Can I say something about that in regards to the points? Because the points can be 40 points over an 8-week time frame.
Yeah.
It can be 50. I mean, you decide your own points, but the power behind the points is a couple of different things. One is you will never learn this business by watching DVDs and just learning it by hearing it and without applying action points behind hearing something and hear a training point. You gotta provide some action backing it up, and so it creates some accountability for you to start creating some action within your Advocare business. So that's one thing that's missing a lot of times in mentorship is accountability, and that's what those 30 points that we felt like was so powerful is it provided an accountability where people not only heard the training, they went through the workshops, they did the homework, but then also took action and put people in the success system. And we had people that, you know, maybe put 2 people the first year of their business in the success system, and over a course of a 6-week time frame, put like 20 to 30 people in a 6-week time frame. I mean, they tenfolded their efforts in a 6-week period of time what they did previously in a full calendar year. So it's powerful as far as how much people got into action and how much they loved the accountability, because most people don't have bosses, and the hardest thing that it is to do in Advocare is to employ yourself moving forward.
Yeah. And so one more thing on the points that we did that I would recommend that you do is when you build a Ruby organization, you know, you're not just frontlining people and, you know, lining your friends up and signing them up to you. I mean, you definitely do contact a list of people, you sign people up, but the power of Ruby is to build down through your organization. Help your distributors get distributors, help those people get distributors, and help those people get distributors. And so in the 30-point system, what we did is we said, okay, and I'm just going to use an analogy right now. Let's say that Bob, not an analogy, an example. Let's say that I ask Bob to come. He's a friend of mine. He's not my husband in this case. I have him come to a mixer. Okay, he comes to a mixer with me. And what happens is he ends up being a point because he came to a mixer. And after the mixer, I say, so what did you think? And Bob says, you know what, I like what I saw, and I have a couple people that might like to be on Advocare products. And I say, well, how about this? How about you and I do a mixer at your place, or you can just introduce them to me and we can sit down at a coffee shop and I'll talk to those people and we'll get them going. And so let's say, okay, so understand this, Bob became a point. Bob then, over the course of 6 weeks, ends up introducing me to 10 different people through the success system. We do mixers at his house. He brings people to a coffee shop. We sit down and talk to those people, or he brings people back to my mixer. But he opens up his more market. Well, guess what? Those 10 people that he introduced to me become part of the 30 points. Because my mindset is not just sign Bob up, then go sign somebody else up to me, and then somebody else up to me. I want to build through, and I want to help Bob get paid. And so the goal is that I help Bob make money, and then those people. So let's say that he has a friend that ends up opening their war market. Well, those become points too. And so we had some people get over 50 points because they found a person that opened up and started introducing people to them. And really, it can take one person, and it can build an amazing business based on one. So we don't want you to have the mindset of just signing a whole 30 people up to yourself or whatever. And by the way, a point does not count. You know, some people think they only get a point if the person actually signs up or gets on product. That's irrelevant. We just want them to bring people to the mixer or do the success system. If that person doesn't do anything, it's okay. It's still a point because you're in action and you're getting people through the success system. One thing that I'm going to probably close with so that everybody understands really the premise behind this Ruby Bootcamp. And I actually saw this on Twitter right before we started the boot camp. I thought, that's exactly what we're trying to do. And this was a quote that I read. And it was, "Tell me, and I'll probably forget. Show me, and I might remember. Involve me, and I'll understand." And so, if you understand how to get to Ruby, and then through understanding you gain belief, that's very important. If you don't understand how to get there and you completely feel like you're in the dark, you know, it's pretty tough to try to get to Ruby when you're just kind of oblivious. It's the workshop and getting the points, because that's where you get involved with what we're teaching you. That's where we partner up. If you just sit there and just go, okay, Bob and Jenny, just teach me, and then run off and do nothing, you'll probably forget. It's most likely that you'll forget what we're teaching. But if you get involved and get your brain thinking and wrapping around and doing the workshop, doing the homework, and then getting 30 or more points, it's going to be amazing. We're so excited about your future. We're so excited that you have something to duplicate through your group. And just remember, once you go through Ruby Bootcamp, you're probably ready to get other people through the Ruby Bootcamp as well. So, bless you. Thank you so much.